we expecting to hear from the UKIP conference this week?
Right. Well, we're issuing our new interim manifesto between now and the next general election, Policies for People. That's got about 30 different policy areas in it. And what I'll be talking about, our primary policy, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary, by the way, and our primary policy for the last 25 years has been to get Britain out of the European Union. And what I'll be saying, one of the big things I'll be saying in my speech today is that Brexit is going to be betrayed by Mrs May. She has no intention of achieving a proper full exit. We have to restore UKIP as an electoral threat in order to put pressure on the government and the political class in order to bring that about, however long it takes.
Well, I mean, I think there are a lot of people worried that Theresa May is going to betray the country on Brexit. But what is UKIP realistically currently going to do about it? We've seen a mass exodus, have we not, of UKIP members, some of the leading lights, moving to join the Conservatives. Some, of course, being refused entry, the likes of Aaron Banks and the like. But realistically, is your party still fit for purpose?
Well, we haven't seen a exit of members since I took over. We've actually seen lots of people coming back, and we're growing our members, and we're financially in the black, so we're in quite a sound position. There's going to be over 1,000 people there today, and we have to restore UKIP as an electoral threat, as I said, and we're well on the way to doing that. I mean, at the moment, one of the things I'll be saying, Julia, is at the moment we're on about 7% in the opinion polls. Now, people can say, oh, well, 7% is not very good. General elections in this country are fought in marginal seats. 7% can lose somebody their seat, and we will be targeting Remainers in Leave seats. We'll be looking at other seats to target, as well as trying to fight across the board in all 650 seats, as many as we can. So we are taking the fight to the Remainers, and we'll be saying, we are going to lose you your seat. Now, we hope that that will focus their minds when they're thinking about the final so-called leaving deal that Mrs May will negotiate and which Parliament has to work on.
And you're also counting on a shift to the right. Some people are accusing you of taking a rather lot of sheets of paper out of the Trump playbook. You endorsed an anti-Muslim rally at the weekend in Sunderland run by the Democratic Football Lads Alliance, which did turn violent. There were arrests, attacks on police. Even Nigel Farage, the former UKIP leader, still a UKIP MEP, was moved to criticise you for doing that. Do you not worry that actually you're going to be pushing more and more people away from UKIP by this shift to the right? Some are saying to the far right.
Julia, I really expected better of you than to peddle this fake news which Sky started. That was not an anti-Muslim rally.
What was it?
That was well, I'll tell you if you let me answer. It was a rally on behalf of justice for women and children, abuse victims. The DFLA policed that march. The violence that broke out, they've looked into this. Those people were nothing to do with the DFLA. They were interlopers who came in and deliberately started the scuffle that kicked off. They know who those people are. They've identified them, and they have nothing to do with the DFLA. So, and as for going to the right, let me tell you, Julia, I've spent the last 26 years of my life campaigning to restore this country to its former status as a democratic, independent nation governed under its own laws by its own elected politicians that we can sack. If that's far right, then you've got a very funny view of what far right means.
I don't believe that's far right. Although we know some snowflakes do use those terms about that view, which is a view, as we now know, after the Brexit referendum, the majority of people. But there are concerns, and I know, again, even your former leader, Nigel Farage, expressed concerns about your links with supporting for Tommy Robinson. And again, you took the DFLA, the Democratic Football Lads Alliance. I looked at the Sky News footage of that protest, and I know there are always people on protests who aren't supposed to be there, and trouble can result from a variety of different reasons. But fundamentally, this was seen as, and the reporter on the scene who spoke to many of those who were there, as it was a rally about the failures of the establishment to tackle Muslim violence. For instance, we're talking about Rotherham and Rochdale, talking about gang grooming of gang rape of girls. And lots of the accusations were the establishment weren't taking any action, the media weren't taking any action. Of course, you'll know it was the Times newspaper that exposed a lot of this and actually helped it to actually get prosecuted. But do you not worry that there is a very thin line between talking about the need for people to assimilate, for people to take on British values, for people to understand the liberal rights in British culture, and criticising Islam itself, criticising Muslim people and making them fearful to live in this country?
Well, I've never criticised Muslims as such, as individuals. I take people as I find them, whoever they are, where they come from. But you cannot understand a problem unless you understand the roots of the problem and the ideology and the culture that encourages that kind of behaviour, which has been swept under the carpet. I know there have been brave people in journalism, and Peter McLaughlin wrote a very good book on this called Easy Meat, which covers the whole thing for about the last 20 or 30 years. It's a horrendous book to read. And you can't understand a problem, you can't solve a problem unless you try to understand its roots. If I can just take you back when you said Nigel Farage criticised me for what I'm doing. Nigel Farage is a friend of Donald Trump, but a lot of people don't like and call names. He's gone over to Germany to speak for the AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, which a lot of people don't like and call names. I haven't called him names because I understand that he is talking to people who work in democratic politics. So I think you should be a bit more careful about criticising me because he's throwing stones in a glass house.
No, I don't think I should be more careful at all. Now, look, you've got views on Islam. You've described a religion as a death cult. No, look, I have very strong views about Islamic extremism. But the religion of Islam, we know that there are 1 billion plus people who live in complete peace and tranquility with the other Muslims and non-Muslims around the world, not remotely members of a death cult. Do you not think that when you use language like that, that you're not just sort of fighting against political correctness and freedom and controls on freedom of speech? You're actually inciting hatred.
Right. First of all, Julia, I didn't say you should be careful about throwing stones. I said he should. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry if you've misheard me, but that's what I said. As for it, what I've described it, you've just said that Muslims live in peace all around the world with each other. Look at every country where the Islamic ideology is in control. It's either extremely repressive regimes like Saudi Arabia, or it's countries where there is internal conflict the whole time. You can go away and look up every country in the world. The only Islamic countries where there isn't violence and conflict is where they have a very strong repressive regime. So that's just a matter of fact, I'm afraid, Julia. If anybody wants to go and look at it, most people will understand that anyway. And as I said to you, I always talk about the ideology and the ideas behind this. And if you look at the entire history of Islam in the last 1,400 years, it's about jihad. It's about making war on countries that are not
Christianity
Islamic
had a pretty nasty few centuries as well. I mean, look, no question at all. Islam hasn't had its sort of renaissance, hasn't had a reformation that Christian churches had. But nevertheless, when you tar an entire religion, an entire billion plus people like that, there are dangers that people will see this as inciting hatred.
You will not find anything in the Christian text that justify violence or war. You've
not read the Old Testament, then?
Let me finish. I don't live by the Old Testament, and I don't know anyone that does. Do you? I know plenty of people that live by the Quran,